Just before we get started this week, I'd like to apologise for my mic quality because I was plagued with mic issues for both episode 3 and 4. I'm not really sure why, so try and enjoy the episodes as much as it does sound like I'm talking through a can with a bit of string attached.
Welcome to Directorial Disputes, the podcast where we give our unpopular film opinions and battle it out to decide whether they're deserving of their unpopular label. I'm James.
I'm Josh.
And we're back again this week with another horribly unpopular opinion, and one that I'm not super confident about, if I'm honest.
I don't. You don't stand a chance.
We've come off some strong weeks, and I think this week, it's going to be a bit more of a struggle for either of us to win.
I think I got this one in the bag.
Okay, the confidence is there. The confidence is there. Certainly not on this end, I'll be honest. It's an opinion that I know people don't agree with, that's for sure. So yeah, I'm kicking off this week with the opinion. I think Jordan Peele peaked at Get Out.
Disgraceful.
I'm gonna let it sink in.
Yeah, always good for a podcast to just have dead air. Yeah, good one.
Just absolute silence. Let people take it in. I think people need it though. I think people are going to hear that and going to be absolutely shocked at what they've just heard. And I get it. Luckily, this is the part of the show where I get to talk for as long as I like, without interruption. And Josh has muted his mic, which means it's my time. It's my time to shine. Now, listen, I can hear you shouting at me already, and I can hear people nearly switching off because I know this is an unpopular opinion. I know Jordan Peele as a director people feel so strongly about, and I think he's amazing and incredible, and he's done amazing stuff. And I'm not disputing that he's an impressive director, and I'm not disputing the fact that he makes good films or that he's made some amazing things. I just think that Get Out was the peak of his work, and it's just a shame that as it stands, he peaked so soon. Get Out is an incredible film, don't get me wrong. Get Out is amazing. It's unsettling and creepy, and it does everything right. Almost everything right. There's so many moments where you sit there and you feel disturbed by what you're seeing on screen. I think that's what good horror does, and I think that's something that his other films, Us and most recently Nope, fail to do. I think Us is a nothing film. I think Us is a film that nothing happens in, and I feel like it's a film that's trying so hard to be horror that it fails its own objective. And I can hear Josh screaming from here with what I'm saying, but I think it's a film that tries so hard to be scary, going from Get Out's grounded, realistic fear factor of something that's almost believable. It's kind of even more disturbing, but then we go to Us and it's going for this completely different kind of fear factor where it's about jumps, it's about, there's some blood on the screen, and it's about a creepy trope. And it's not something that I enjoyed. I think it was a bit of a nothing film. So that happened, and then I lost confidence in Jordan Peele a little bit after I saw that, and it wasn't to do with any of the directing styles or the writing. I just think it was trying too hard in what it was doing. Then we move on to Nope more recently, and I'll be honest, Nope wasn't a film I saw when it came out. It wasn't a film that I ran to, and understandably, given that I didn't enjoy Us, it's not a film that I'm running to go and see. But having now seen it, Nope doesn't try to be a horror film, but its gimmicks are gimmicks. And I'm not certain that it does anything, if I'm honest. I think all in all, it falls a bit flat for me. I think its big reveal is revealed far too early. I think trailers have a lot to answer for how I feel about this film. I think so much of the film is given away in trailers, and that might be my bad for watching trailers and consuming trailers, but I think that's something that we definitely have to consider. And there's moments in Nope where I questioned whether I'm too stupid for Jordan Peele films. Am I missing something? Is something going over my head? There has to be. Jordan Peele is this great director that everyone talks about, and he's new and exciting, and Nope just didn't feel like that for me. Nope was a film that it tries so hard, again, to be horror. It tries so hard to be scary, but it wasn't at any point scary or horrific. I think I sat there in moments and didn't feel unsettled at all. I didn't feel at any point scared or fearful or tense even. I didn't even feel tense. And I sat there towards the end of it, and I sat and thought, and I went, am I misinterpreting this? Is this film not trying to be a horror film? And then I look back, and the amount of tropes that the film uses, the amount of go-to spoilers, absolute spoilers, if the amount of things, we've got a house being covered in blood, and you've got that classic shot of blood dripping down the window, how terrifying, and you've got you've got the quiet scene, absolute silence, and then the horse falls through the window, and bang, loud noise, make yourself jump, and it did nothing, and it is such a shame to say it, but it seems like a bit of a fall from grace. Get Out is a wonderful film, and it does so many things so well, to then feel deflated, I think is the word, deflated by these other two films. And that's why I think Jordan Peele probably so far has peaked at Get Out.
Ooh.
There are a lot of faces being pulled while I had to say what I had to say.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of strong opinions, for definite. Wow, okay. So, not a fan of his second two films then.
It's not I'm not a fan of Jordan Peele. Again, I think Jordan Peele's... I've never met the man, I'm sure he's lovely. But my issue is that I don't know whether it's a problem or Get Out was such an entry into the cinematic space that these were almost destined to feel worse no matter what. It might be a case Get Out was so good that it's sort of a victim of its own success. In that we've got something, we're going from a 10 out of 10, and then even if you release a 7 out of 10, that's still 3 points lower, so it feels so much worse.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough, I can see what you mean from that.
Come on then, give it to me.
So I started, the first one of his films that I saw was Nope. Sorry, I saw that at the cinema. The first one I saw it in IMAX, really good. And then I've gone back and watched Get Out and Us as of a few days ago, for the first time. I really enjoyed them all. If I then watched them like all back to back, would I end up thinking similar things to you? Possibly. I'm not 100% sure. And I think one of the reasons that I think Get Out you've kind of put on this pedestal is that because the message within it is so on the surface and obvious, and then the other two you kind of have to dig a bit for to get it. Is it that? Is it the or?
It might be that. Again, like I say, I sat there and went, "Am I too stupid for Jordan Peele films?" And it might be that that's the case. I think you're right in that Get Out's message is far and away the most obvious message in all of the films. But I still think because I watched Nope today. I watched it today, and so it's in the forefront of my mind. But I think if I compare Nope to Get Out, like I say, I felt a sense of nothing during Nope. It wasn't the case that any time I felt tense or nervous or anything like that. And I'm not. It's not down to the conditions I watched it in. I watched it in a dark room, had the curtains shut, silent. Whereas with Get Out, there's such harmony between music, cinematography, the acting. Obviously, Daniel Kaluuya in both.
Yeah.
It all goes so well together, and it just feels so unsettling. This environment that they're placed in Get Out, whereas in Nope, it doesn't feel like anything. If I'm honest, and there's certainly questions that are left unanswered during Nope that I'm unsure of as well. But like I say, I think a lot of it is down to timing. I think in Nope, we're a bit like in A Quiet Place and horrors of that ilk. I think A Quiet Place would have benefited from not revealing its antagonist so soon. Right. I think it's the same with Nope.
Yeah, I mean, when I was watching it the first time round, I don't know if that's because I really like sci-fi and stuff. I kind of saw the twist of the film coming from a mile away. I was like, oh, it's gonna, oh, right. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, okay, good guess, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe it was supposed to be obvious, I don't know. But I kind of felt a little bit, I don't want to say let down, it's kind of more like, yay me, I'm smart. I worked that one out. But yeah, no, it didn't feel like a horror film in the same sense that something like Us did. I'm assuming that's on purpose, but I don't really know what he was aiming to get at when he made the film. Because I've sort of been looking up what he said about the film. And he said that the UFO is a direct representation of the idea of spectacle itself. The movie is about spectacle, Hollywood, fame, celebrity, etc. So, with each film that he's made, the message has definitely gotten like more subtle throughout.
And that is absolutely fine. I have no issue with that. But Jordan, I put to you, it's not scary. It's not scary. I don't know what to say, and I know there's going to be people out there who go, horror doesn't need to be scary. Yes, it does. It needs to be at least unsettling, and it's not at all. It's a big fleshy spaceship man. Like, it's just not scary at all. And like I say, it's definitely a different type of horror. Don't get me wrong. Certainly a different type to both Get Out and Us.
Yeah.
But it had me questioning, is this a horror film? But you look through it, and like I say, you've got moments of quiet and then really loud sensory overload. You've got cinematography that is so obviously taken from the horror genre.
Yeah.
Like I say, you've got shots of blood dripping down a window that wouldn't be out of place in Carrie. It's something like that. So it's quite clearly trying to go for horror, and it's just it just fails on that for me. And I think it might be a case that I think that because I saw Get Out first, it feels like a come down.
Right.
But I think both of us know that Nope isn't the film I have the real issue with.
Yeah, I mean, just I'm assuming we're moving away from Nope at the minute, but how much does it change your opinion if you look at Nope as a sci-fi film through the sort of horror conventions? So it's not a horror film, it just happens to use them, but it's mainly a sci-fi film.
So are you saying similar to how Alien is, sort of?
Well,
because Alien is a sci-fi film.
Alien, yeah, but that one definitely leans more into the atmospheric horror.
And it does it incredibly well.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to say this film is
We're not
better
criticising
than
Alien here.
But, my point being that if you primarily look at it as a sci-fi film, does it still pale in comparison as much to you? Or...
I think the fact that I think maybe if they led more into the sci-fi, it's more successful.
Okay.
But I think the issue is that I don't know. I don't. The characters weren't effective in the. For example, their father died, and obviously you find out that the father died because the thing spits out whatever it doesn't want to eat or whatever. But we never touch on why the father wasn't eaten. Things like that. Equally, there's this sudden. I think because of how early this antagonist is introduced, I don't get an idea of the motivations of each character.
Right.
Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer, I don't get an idea of who they are outside of this. Obviously, they're both dealing with the death of their father differently. But I think it's kind of touched on that they have these differences, and then suddenly this antagonist comes in and everything's changed and they're working together now.
Right.
I think there's too soon of an introduction.
Slightly longer, would you, and you had a bit more time between that, would that make it?
I don't think the fix is as easy as that. Like I say in Get Out, you've got this. It's grounded in realism, so well. In that it literally starts with Daniel Kaluuya's character with his partner talking about going to meet her parents, and they go, and all is really normal to begin with. And Nope and Us, I think, fail in that Nope especially is almost so fantastical that there's not this realism that can make horror so fearful. I think mainly horror is scary because it's the suggestion of, or the attempt to put the audience in the position of those on screen. And I just don't think, because of the situation that they're in, I just don't think that's something that I was able to do.
Right. So you're saying this a film with an alien invasion kind of thing is too unrealistic for you to find scary. Is what I got from that. That you can't empathise with the characters because it's unrealistic.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying,
What I was
oh
coming
god,
across.
I'm being ripped apart already. No, it's not a case of that. I think it's more a case that because you know what, maybe it is that. Who knows? Maybe it is that. Maybe it is that.
Alright.
Maybe it is. Maybe I just don't find aliens scary. Maybe that's it. Maybe I just don't find aliens scary. Now, like I said, we know that Nope isn't a real issue film.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say, I will start this off, and I will say to you what you said to me only a few episodes ago.
Oh no.
Josh, what happens in Us?
In Us, and for the record, that was last episode. So what in general? They go to this holiday home, and then they're tethered people, the clones kind of thing. Not clones, but you know what I mean. Come
They're
back
us.
come to take over the.
And
Why
is that the
us?
end of the film?
Is that the end of the film?
Is that what happens?
Well, no, because then they have a big fight. They spend the majority of the film running away from them, and then, well, big plot twist. Turns out they were swapped, or they swapped around, and the evil one was actually the human one, and the human one was actually the evil one. Yeah, okay. What about it? Are you saying that nothing happens in this film? Is what you're saying, right?
I'm not saying nothing happens, but it's just...
Because you said to me boring.
It is so
But they are
forgettable.
literally on the run. Hang on, I wrote this down. From the 50th minute, they are on the run. So you can't say it's boring, because they're on the run.
It's just, again,
over
I think
an hour
it's
of the
so forgettable.
What?
It's one of those films where I watch it and I go, especially horror films. I think horror films can succeed and fail so easily. And I think with a horror film, when I know it's done well is when it makes a lasting impression on me. And there are horror films out there that do really well at that. You know, you've got Audition, for example. I don't know if you've seen it. Incredible film. And it's a film that, here's the thing, not a lot has to happen in a horror film. Don't get me wrong. Audition, like I say, they audition women to be this guy's partner, and then they go on loads of dates, and then the end happens, and oh my god, it's terrifying and it's horrible, and oh god, and it makes a lasting impression on you. I'm not going to say what happens. Go watch Audition if you haven't already. Same with films like Raw. Raw, again, it's a film where it's a real slow burn. It's a slow burn, but boy is it uncomfortable. And Us doesn't have that, and I say it's trying too hard. And I mean that in that we're going from Get Out again, which is this grounded, realistic sort of commentary. And because of the realism and the commentary that it's making, it's almost more horrific and uncomfortable. But you go to Us, and suddenly it feels like the film is trying so hard to be horror. It seems we've seen the success of Get Out. We've seen that horror is popular again. And so we need to lean into that horror. So we've got the trope. We've got the scissors. That's the trope. We can sell that. It's like the knife from Scream, you know, and the mask from Scream even. You know, we've got that trope. Don't get me wrong. There's some incredible acting in Us. You know, there's some really good acting. But we've got that trope, and we're going to go tenfold on the blood, the effects. We're going to go... everything's got to be nighttime. Everything's nighttime. And it's they lean into it so much that I just go, oh, it's that again. Oh, it's that bit that they see themselves, and it's that they said the line. They said the it's us line. They said the line. Oh my god! And they've got the scissors. They've got those. I've seen those. I know those scissors. They've got those scissors. Why have they got scissors? I don't know. Why do they have scissors?
Because they're like puppets, aren't they? So you cut the puppet strings.
Sure. Again, maybe I'm too stupid for these films, but it just feels like it's trying so hard. I wrote down that it's like without the commentary, because the commentary is very clever, and the commentary in all of Jordan Peele's films are very clever. Without the commentary, it feels like a student film.
Ooh, that's basically an insult at that point.
It's not an insult. I think it's a case that
being a student that's made films, I know how much of an insult that is.
Don't get me wrong. It's not a bad student film.
Right.
It's a bloody good student film. If a student makes that, fair play.
Yeah.
But my point is that it's a student film in that it feels like they're trying to tick boxes,
opposed to
just making what they want to
just
make.
making what they want to make.
And that's where it really struggles for me.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. This film. I'm not saying this film is perfect, by any means. I've got some stuff on here that I was like, that doesn't make any sense, with the fact that the tethered and the human counterparts. Because at some points they're like, oh right, we basically have to do everything that you do. And there's the scene towards the end where it's like flashing back to the start when she was a girl. They're moving in the exact same way that the humans are moving, but then also they don't move in the exact same way because they've already had fights with each other where they move differently. I'm not really too sure what's going on there, if I'm honest. That like, pick one. Of like, do they have to move exactly the same way? Because that could be really interesting. But obviously that'd be difficult. So they don't, but then also they do. I'm not sure. But I think, having now watched all of his films, I think what he's doing is kind of working his way through the subgenres of horror, right? So obviously Get Out being like the psychological horror, then this one being kind of like a slasher horror. I mean, it's a bit different because you've got the counterparts and then the fact that, you know, by the end of the film there's like all of them around the globe or something, or across the can't remember exactly. And then Nope being kind of like the sci-fi horror. So he's making his way through. So what I'm kind of getting from this is you just don't like certain subgenres of horror, and that's why these aren't hitting.
It might be that, honestly, it might be that, and you might have sussed me out like my therapist. No, James, you don't have a problem with this. Your problem is that. Okay.
How are we bringing your parents into this?
Yeah, it's all because my parents really like psychological horror.
That's the one.
No, I just don't know what it is that doesn't hit with Nope. I look at it and I go, this is really well made, and certainly certain aspects of it are better than in Us and in previous films. But it just doesn't hit. And I was watching it, and there's a moment where they're towards the end, where their companion, the filmmaker companion, who is randomly throughout the film just featured watching a tiger kill a snake or whatever, which is odd.
But when you then think about the whole film is about fame and Hollywood in general, he's the golden era.
Oh yeah,
of Hollywood. And that,
I get that, but I watch it and there's a moment at the end where they're trying to film the alien, and he leaves the group with his little camera, and he leaves, and the music does something really weird. It sounds like an adventure film. The music sounds like I'm watching Indiana Jones or like the Hobbits are going on an adventure. And I'm going, this is meant to be the scene. This is meant to be the scene, and it's meant to be scary and tense. And it cuts to this music that sounds like an adventure. And as he walks up the hill, and then he stops, and the alien's over him, and he starts filming, and the music cuts, and then cuts into scary music. And I think it's that. I think it's the inconsistency in how I am led to feel throughout. Right. It's that almost, this is a nice bit, you're allowed to enjoy this bit. Oh, scary bit, be scared. And because I've just had the nice bit, I'm not scared.
You're not scared.
Because I'm eased into it. And whereas I think the moments that really do excel in Nope and in Us is where we're forced into this situation. And it's something that you're forced in all the way through Get Out. All the way through, where you're made to feel as if you're compact into this story.
Yeah.
And there's no way out for you to feel that calm. And the way horror films excel is when you're made to feel like that. And yes, they do let up. No one wants to watch a horror film where they constantly feel like they can't breathe all the way through, because then that effect completely loses itself.
Yeah.
But you're made to feel that in these really tense moments, like that I just mentioned, and then you let go for a second. And then it really piles on. And because you've not had a moment of, oh, you're happy now, you've had a moment of just relax.
Right.
That second scare feels so much worse. It'd be like in Get Out, where Daniel Kaluuya is stood there, and the gardener, I think he is, or the assistant, is running directly towards him in the dark. So running dead to him before turning.
Yeah.
Making that sharp turn. It would be like that, and you get him running, and he's running really far away, and then halfway through we suddenly skip, and it's Indiana Jones music. It's lovely. It's we're going on an adventure, and then when he gets in your face, you go bah, and oh god, I'm suddenly so not scared because I've just had that lovely music.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's an attempt to experiment or push these commentaries further, but inconsistencies, and it is almost entirely musical. But these inconsistencies in genre tropes, and I'm not saying that in a genre we need to stick to a trope, because some of the best movies come out of breaking that.
Yeah.
Just make the films fall down a little bit for me.
I mean, so speaking of that scene in general with the music, what I kind of took that to be was kind of looking into that character's mindset. Because I think throughout that film, he's never really made a film that he liked. And this is it. This is it for both his career and his life. So that adventure music is him like, I'm about to make the film that I've always wanted to make, and then he gets there and realises, and that's what the music is then like, you're dead. And then that's the realisation for him that is it. So as much as you shouldn't really have music there to tell you how a character is feeling, that's kind of what it does. I don't know what faces you're making at me right now.
It's just, oh god, I just know that I'm on the back foot so much.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And so what, out of interest, what was your favourite film of the three?
Favourite film of the three? I mean, I hold Nope. I like that because it was the first one that I saw. I didn't see it alone. I saw it with friends as well, and it was in general a fun experience. I get that Get Out is probably the best one. I understand that.
So where would you rank the three?
Where would I rank the? I enjoyed Us as a film a little bit more than Get Out, even though I know it's better, if you know what I mean.
Interesting.
And then
why
Nope is my favourite one because it was the first one I saw. It's sci-fi. I got the most enjoyment out of it.
You enjoyed Us more. Why?
I think I felt more engaged. Not to say that Get Out doesn't do that, because it's all the way through. You're feeling uncomfortable and you're feeling with it. But I don't know. I think it was just the fact that with Us going completely against what you said, like stuff is constantly happening because they're constantly on the run. You've kind of, for me anyway, it felt like if I look away, they're going to be somewhere completely different. Something else is going to happen, and I've missed something. Whereas with Get Out, he's like investigating what's going on and what's happening. But I felt like I could leave the room for a few minutes, come back, and it's like, oh, okay, he's finally worked out what it is. Not that I would do that, because I feel like the narrative of Get Out is so well written that you can follow along really easily and you won't get confused by it. But yeah, I feel like with Us, I think it's just because it's such a drastically different film and it's more action based. I think it could have just been down to that's what I was in the mood for at the time, and when I watched it, I was like, yeah, it's great. But yeah, I don't know. I think that one was more fun. As much as I felt more tense watching Us than I did Get Out. I think that's the best way to sum it up.
That is so interesting. Oh my lord. Oh god. I didn't see Get Out in a cinema.
Mm-hmm.
I did see Us in a cinema.
Oh, okay.
And I saw it with friends.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. I do recall, and I will sort of fight your argument for just a moment.
Oh.
Because I can see myself losing, and I can hear people shouting at how much they disagree with me. I remember coming out of Us and being impressed. I remember coming out and going, "Oh, that was really cool," and thinking about the characters. And in reality, it does character acting really well, and the Us family are actually very creepy.
Yeah.
Especially the boy, the young boy.
Yeah.
And I remember coming out and being really impressed. And then it sort of sat with me And I just started to think whether I was impressed by that initial. You know, when you watch a film, you come out, and you go,
Yeah.
oh, that was really good.
Yeah.
And then you sit with it, and it was that sort of more holes started to appear. Start to
Right.
go, was it really scary? Was it really? Did it really succeed in what it wanted to do? And was it better than Get Out? And I think I just couldn't argue that Us was a better film in any way.
Mm.
I think Get Out succeeds in every way
Oh, definitely, yeah.
more than Us does as a horror film.
See, I don't know if because I'm assuming because like Get Out was kind of like it was Jordan Peele's first film, right? I don't know how long he'd been writing it for before that. So for all I know, he'd been writing that 10, 15 years, and it was constantly getting revised, and that's why that's such a perfect film in comparison to the other ones that obviously he didn't start writing until after.
I wouldn't say perfect. Probably polished. Probably the most polished
Then there you
film.
go. It's the yeah, okay. So whether or not that's why, and that's why for you it kind of felt like such a drop off, because the fact that he's then had to go, all right, film done, let's make another one from scratch. Consider as I was looking up things about it, I don't know if this tells how long he'd been writing it for, but his original choice to play Chris, do you know who that was?
No, who was it?
Eddie Murphy.
Oh my lord, must have been a while then.
And then obviously he changed his mind
My
because he was
lord.
like, he's too old. But so whether or not
Yeah.
he'd been writing that for that long that Eddie Murphy was originally the correct age for the role does then explain why that film is as good as that is.
Yeah, I think you might be right, and I can see myself losing this already. I can see myself losing footing, and I will lead with my final
Your
three
final
rounding
three,
points of why I think this isn't such an unpopular opinion. I think very simply, Get Out is Jordan Peele's best film, and I think people would be hard to argue. It would be incredibly hard to argue anything else. I think it's made so well, and it just hits me in a way that makes me feel so unsettled that I think a horror film should. I think moving to Us, it felt as though there was a pressure to bring the horror aspect back and push it to the nth degree, and I think it sort of fails a little bit because of that. Because Get Out's fear factor is almost in its subtlety of horror, and I think that's how it succeeds so well. And I think finally, if anything, Nope is an in between of the two. I think Nope is a horror film that Jordan Peele is exploring how he wants to make films. After all, Nope, Get Out is his first film. He does exceedingly well in it, and then by the time he's gotten to Nope, I think he's had time to think about the sort of films he wants to make and is starting to experiment with that. And so, as much as I think Jordan Peele is a great director, writer, all of the above, I do just think that there has so far been a peak at Get Out, and I just don't think people could really argue that.
Well, so for my 3 points, I agree in the sense that Get Out is definitely his most polished film. I'm not saying that it's terrible or anything like that. It's definitely his most polished film. It was his passion project. It's the film that got him into filmmaking in the first place, or at least directing and things like that. So I totally get that. Our first 2 points can be the same. But where we change is with Us and Nope. You can't say that he's dipped in quality when Us had the highest ever opening for a horror film, or an original horror film, and the second highest ever for a live action film. It's only beaten by Avatar for opening weekend. That could have changed since, but when I got this, at the time, highest ever, or second highest ever original live action film. I mean, it made 77 million first weekend, so in the US. It obviously got more elsewhere, but still. So money-wise, it went up, not down. I remember when it came out, as much as I didn't see it, lots of other people did. I remember lots of people going. I think I actually went to like a lecture or something, and literally everyone else had just come from a screening of us. And then Nope, as much as you're not a huge fan, it's his exploration of different subgenres of horror. So just because you're not a fan of it, and I totally get that, there's many things I'm not a fan of. I'm not a huge fan of horror in general, but the fact that he's gone into sci-fi horror, that's what brought me in. So, end of the day, as much as that's what this entire show is about, differing opinions, I think that's what this is just down to. I think this is just you're not a fan of the subgenres that he's tackled since because you like psychological horror more than the rest. So that's my three. That's my three.
I would say, before I very obviously pass this up as a loss, because I can't argue with the fact that they're all so successful, and clearly people aren't disinterested after just after Get Out and Us. I would say that maybe it's not a peak. Maybe it's just the best film so far.
There we go.
But I guess with that, I take the loss. I believe that makes it 2-1.
2-1.
I will cast my opinion away and lock it away before anyone else asks me to explain why Nope is a bad film.
Although I feel like this is going to be a short-lived victory, considering next week.
Oh, I'm prepared to come back for next week. Don't you worry,
no.
I will be coming back with a vengeance. I'm
really
here.
not.
But Josh will be bringing his unpopular opinion next week.
Yes, I will.
He's not prepared. I think these
I'm really
these 2 weeks are hard-fought battles for us. I think we're bringing the opinions that aren't so hardline and can be dismantled. And so next week Josh will bring that, and we'll see what happens. So that marks the scoreboard as 2-1 to Josh. Josh is winning, which is so unfortunate. I want to win. Come on. So unfortunate. But if you want to hear our future podcasts and all the podcasts we've already done, you can follow us over on social media. And our social medias are...
On Twitter, it's @DisputePod, and on Instagram, it's Directorial_Disputes.
Well, thank you for listening to my poorly fought battle. And we'll see you again next week for another episode of Directorial Disputes.
We shall, hopefully. Bye.
Bye!